In the conversations that I have with buyers who are looking for their next home, I often get asked about foreclosure properties as an option. They are not afraid to buy something a little cheaper and fix it up, and they want to know if they could get a foreclosure for cheaper and get a list of foreclosure homes from me. So we're going to talk about that today. While that could be an option, there are a lot of things to be aware of and to consider before deciding if that is the right option for you. Hi, my name's Deanna Bradford. I'm a realtor with Reese Nichols Realtors Excelsior Springs, part of the Bill Hightower team. So first, let's discuss what a foreclosure is. Simply put, it is a bank-owned property. So a buyer purchases the property using a mortgage to purchase the property with, and somewhere along the way they're unable to make their payments, which then causes them to go into foreclosure, and ownership of that property goes back to the bank. One thing to consider are that these homes have often never been seen by the bank, so they cannot provide information about the condition or the history of that home. Unlike a resale home where the seller is required to provide a seller's disclosure that discloses any problems with the home, any corrective actions taken, as well as the ages of the roof, the appliances, the furnace, etc. But a bank-owned property will not provide this information since it's likely that the bank has never even seen the property. When a buyer is considering a foreclosure property, it is often in the hopes of getting it below market value. A bank is going to list a foreclosure property at fair market value in its as-is condition. So while you might find a foreclosure property cheaper than other comparable homes in the area, it's often because the condition of the home is in disrepair and the banks are not going to make any repairs. So when considering a foreclosure home, you must keep this in mind and know whether you're willing and prepared to make repairs once you have purchased the property, and that you have the extra funds in order to do so. Another reason that buyers consider foreclosures is in the hopes of being able to negotiate that list price down even lower. Banks are only worried about their bottom line and are not interested in negotiating back and forth. And if you're in a seller's market like we currently are in, they don't have to. So if you decide to put an offer on a foreclosure, make sure you come in strong enough that if your offer is not accepted, you won't be disappointed. You know that you put it all on the table, what you would be comfortable paying for that property, and if it's not accepted, you're okay with the outcome. Another reason buyers often tell me they're willing to consider a foreclosure is because they don't mind buying something a little cheaper and fixing it up themselves. There are a couple of things I want to go over when looking at this perspective that a buyer has about foreclosures. First, let's go back to when we talked about the fact that it is an as-is sale and that the bank will not make repairs and that there are no disclosures from the bank about the property. When you're buying a foreclosure property, you have no idea what you are buying. And although you can view the property before you put an offer in, there's a lot of things that may be hidden that you cannot see just by walking through a property. So this makes inspections all the more important when you're thinking about a foreclosure property. Having said that, although it's not impossible to have inspections on a foreclosure property, there are some things to consider. So you have to get them done within the time frame they allow, or you could lose the property, or you would just have to accept it as is and hope for the best in the end. Another thing to consider with inspections is the fact that a lot of these foreclosure properties will not have the utilities on, which you need when having inspections done. It'll be your responsibility as the buyer and at your expense to have those utilities turned on and then shut off after you are done. Also, certain times of the year, the home could be winterized and you would also have to pay to have it de-winterized in order to have the inspections done and then re-winterized once they have been completed. The second point I'd like to cover is the fact that because a foreclosure property is often in disrepair, it could cause a problem with your loan. You might not be able to buy the property if you're using certain types of loans, the ones that are usually lower down payment or no down payment loans, such as FHA, VA, USDA. Those kinds of loans are going to have a minimum standard requirement for the condition of the property. And if during the appraisal process the appraiser finds that the home does not meet those standards, then you'll be unable to close on that property with that loan. Often, these kind of properties will have to be purchased using something like a conventional loan or a renovation loan of some kind. It is possible on rare occasions to find a foreclosure that is in good enough condition to use those other types of loans, the FHA, VA, USDA, to purchase those kinds of homes. But again, it isn't the majority. And again, you're still taking a risk that the appraiser could find something and it still could not close if during that appraisal process they find something that does not meet that minimum standard that they require. So these are some of the things that you should consider if you're thinking of looking at foreclosure properties for your next home. Now, I hope I don't sound too negative in this video. I do think it can be a very good option. My own personal home that I'm in right now was a foreclosure property when we bought it many years ago. So it can work out. Just make sure that you are aware and that you are up for whatever may come with a foreclosure property. It can be a little bit more complicated process and maybe a little bit more risky, but as long as you're aware and prepared for it, maybe it'll be the right option for you too. I hope this information was helpful. And if you have any questions about foreclosure properties or in buying your next home in general, feel free to reach out to me anytime and I'd be happy to talk with you. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And if you found this information helpful, please like this video. Thanks again and have a blessed day.